Christian Metatron, you would like for us to read more the Roar the Ganges. Well, we certainly can. As I said, we will be reading from Roar the Ganges, a book that was gifted to us by a mutual participant, Sky Guardian. The book is about his guru's experience in India. This section is about the Bhagavad Gita, or Song of the Lord. It is without doubt the most popular Hindu scripture. It is actually an excerpt from the well-known epic poem, the Mahabharata, which has the unique distinction of being the world's longest poem. It consists of about 100,000 two-line verses in classical Sanskrit. This mammoth poem tells a fantastically elaborate story of two rival clans and their colossal battle for control of a kingdom. After the evil clan managed to usurp the kingdom through deceit, the other clan must wage war to restore dharma, righteousness. The Bhagavad Gita is a 700-verse segment drawn from the middle of the Mahabharata, which takes place on the battlefield just as the terrible war is about to commence. The illustrious archer Arjuna commands his charioteer to advance to the middle of the battlefield so that he can survey the two vast armies already assembled on opposite sides. His charioteer, due to a complex turn of events, is none other than Lord Krishna. Pictured here, who is presented in the Gita as an incarnation of God. Arjuna contemplates the horrible destruction to both sides that would undoubtedly result from the bloody war. When he sees his cousins, teachers, and beloved granduncle arrayed for battle on the opposite side, he throws his bow to the ground and tells Lord Krishna that he will not fight. If Arjuna retreats from the battlefield, the forces of evil would certainly triumph. Therefore, Lord Krishna advises Arjuna to fight because of the terrible consequences if he fails in his duty. But Arjuna is paralyzed by conflict. He knows he must fight, yet he is loath to kill those who are so dear to him. He briefly considers running away from the battlefield and living as a sannyasi, a renunciant. Standing in the chariot, in midst of the battlefield, Lord Krishna instructs Arjuna. He does not rouse Arjuna to action like the coach of a football team, but instead, he leads Arjuna to discover freedom from his paralyzing conflict by imparting the teachings of Vedanta. And at the conclusion of their lengthy dialogue, Arjuna is ready to lead the forces of righteousness to victory. The Gita's tremendous popularity stems, in part, from its central teaching. One must pursue spiritual growth while fulfilling daily duties. This message is addressed to all engaged in worldly activities. Other reasons for its popularity include its powerful unfoldment of self-knowledge and its extensive instruction about meditation, devotion, and karma yoga. Thus, the Gita is considered a complete teaching in 18 chapters of simple, elegant Sanskrit. The Gita is also the book that we have been reading together on our ASMR YouTube channel. Yamsox ASMR. I just finished recording the 7th chapter, which will be uploaded later tonight. The 7th chapter is on the nature of the Supreme, which is a lovely chapter. So that's a little bit about the Bhagavad Gita. But back to the story. Our Guru, Swami Dayananda, addressed one of the participants, Raj's doubts about whether only sannyasis, renunciants, could gain moksha, liberation or enlightenment, by referring to the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This chapter opens with Arjuna's question, which is better for spiritual pursuit, the active life of a householder or the renounced life of a sannyasi? Lord Krishna replies, saying, "This issue is merely a matter of lifestyle. Monks and householders alike can gain moksha." In the simple life of a monk, all activities are directed towards spiritual growth. In the more complex life of a householder, if all activities are undertaken with the prayerful attitude of karma yoga, yoga in action, they are similarly directed towards spiritual growth. So therefore, Swami Dayananda continued, or concluded, you can choose any lifestyle as long as it is conducive to spiritual growth. You can be a busy bank executive like yourself. You can be a wife and a mother, staying home and caring for children. Or you can be a sannyasi, remaining quietly in one place to meditate, pray, and study. It makes no difference if the person's first priority in life is to gain moksha. People's choice of lifestyle should be based on their natural inclinations. Those who want to pursue a profession or raise a family should do so, but without losing sight of their spiritual goals also. On the other hand, those who are inclined to lead simple life, the simple life of a monk, should also be free to do so, assuming, of course, they are not running away from their responsibilities. Each year, many students ask me to initiate them into sannyasa, but I only give it to a few, only to those who have studied with me for some years and seem mature enough to grow and thrive in a monastic lifestyle. And even then, I initiate them only if they are free from other responsibilities. If they have a family to support or debts to be paid, I tell them to fulfill all their responsibilities first. This topic touched a tender place deep in my chest. My throat tightened and my eyes grew misty. With my own initiation only days away, Swami Dayananda's words opened a floodgate, releasing a jumble of emotions: gratitude, love and respect, joyous anticipation and doubt. Was I shirking responsibilities? I wondered. I had no family duties. My life had already been dedicated to full-time spiritual pursuit for nearly all of the preceding 7 years. I supposed that if Swami Dayananda felt there were other responsibilities for me to address, he would not be ready to initiate me. Some doubts persisted. Was I really fit for monastic life? I had long pondered this question. I recalled that, as a boy of 10 years, when my faith in the Catholic Church was still strong, I had briefly been fascinated by the idea of becoming a priest or a monk. Our religion classes were taught by priests and nuns who told us about the special glory of a life dedicated to God. They spoke mysteriously about discovering whether one had a religious vocation, whether God was calling us to the religious life. As a child, I didn't know whether God was calling me or not, but the idea of a life dedicated to God was enchanting. I wrote letters to some Catholic organizations requesting information about their religious orders. Most of the material I received was from missionary organizations, which didn't appeal to me at all. I was interested in God, not in missionary work. Before long, my fascination with religious vocations faded. It seemed to be just another phase of growing up. Much later in life, I wondered, what if I had received a better religious education as a child and never left the Catholic Church? What if I had received information from monasteries of contemplative monks instead of from missionaries? Could I have become a Catholic monk? Who can say? Looking back on my life, I found many such seeds of destiny that developed slowly, drawing me inexorably towards monastic life. For the last 7 years, I had been living an essentially monastic life in the Pennsylvania ashram. To me, this lifestyle felt comfortable, normal. Any other life would have felt strange, like a pair of poorly fitting shoes. Also, I knew that Swami Dayananda would not initiate me if he thought I was not ready. Yet, I still felt a bit unsure from time to time when new doubts arose. I had learned to regard these doubts as my friends. They forced me to examine and re-examine my motives. Such introspection is not always easy or pleasant, but it seems indispensable for one committed to gaining self-knowledge, living the life of a sannyasa. And there we end the chapter and our reading for now. Later on we may continue reading the next chapter titled Choosing My Path. For now, I thank you for listening with me as we read from another part of Roar the Ganges, a wonderful book, and I hope you enjoyed it with me. And thank you, Jane, for that heart me you sent. Hari Om Tat Sat. I agree, Greg RG. I bet that next chapter shall be fire. And Vladimir, thank you for your birthday cake. A slice of it. Jai Sitaram. And Alexandra, thank you for your hand hearts. Amanda Michelle, you ask, what are boundaries I have set for myself? It's a good question. For myself, I find that whenever, for example, someone is getting at my nerves, then it is best for me to not engage at all. If I feel anger arising, then it is best that I let go, rather than push my boundaries further and engage in a conversation that will likely inevitably lead to one of us getting hurt. Emotionally, that is. Additionally, whenever I seem to not uphold a responsibility that I have taken up, instead of putting pressure on myself, I try to forgive myself and know that even this period of perceived inadequacy shall pass as well. And so I try to forgive myself as soon as possible so that I can continue where I left off. And thank you, brilliant genius, for your finger heart. Radhe, Radhe. And thank you, Rasulullah Muhammad, if I pronounced that all right. Peace be upon you.